مشاهدينا الكرام، تشهد العلاقات المصرية البريطانية تطورا يوما بعد يوم. السيد والاس وهو وزير الدولة للامن يزور القاهرة في زيارة تتضمن عددا من اللقاءات المتبادلة مع المسؤولين المصريين. Mr. Wallace, first of all, welcome to us on eXtranews and welcome to Cairo.
Thank you very much.
If we talk about that, this is your first visit to the Middle East after you become the Minister for Security. How that reflects the importance between relations between Egypt and UK?
Well, I think it's very important. You know, your president met the Prime Minister not so long ago. You know, Egypt is a key partner in not only fighting terrorism, but also economically. You know, Britain is the biggest single investor into Egypt. It's nearly 50% of all the foreign investment. And I think that shows that we value Egypt. Egypt is incredibly important in the region. It provides the stability that we all need in this changing world. So I think my visit, and there'll be other visits, I think by some of my colleagues, show that Britain is committed to making sure that we work with Egypt for the future and for the long term.
If we talk about your visit, who you met and what was the most important discussions?
Well, I think I met the Minister for Civil Aviation, and we talked about aviation security, and he took me on a tour of the amazing new terminal at Cairo, and I'm quite envious of that. It's better than some of our airports, and I'm quite looking forward to going through it and seeing all the work they've done and the security, and making sure that passengers, wherever they go in the world, have a safe and secure experience going through their airport. And I think that's a great first-class airport that will be open to welcome tourists from all over the world.
The most important questions that Egyptian people asking now, when the British flights will come back again to the Egyptian airports?
Well, I'm determined, like them, to make sure we open them up. First of all, can I just say quite clearly, we already fly to 4 Egyptian airports every week. 32 flights a week come to Egypt. 200,000 tourists come on them. That's the second biggest number of tourists from Europe. We fly to Cairo, we fly to Hurghada, we fly to Luxor. We don't fly to Sharm el-Sheikh.
Not yet.
That's the only one. But it would be wrong to say to your viewers that we don't come to Egypt. We come to Egypt in huge numbers. We'd like to come in even more huge numbers. I think we're incredibly impressed with the work that's done at Sharm el-Sheikh, and I think we are not far off being able to say that we are in a place where I can say that not only has the airport work been done and is incredibly secure, but also the threat has disappeared. Because we have to be able to say to my constituents, the people that vote for me and the government, and the people I have a duty to stay safe, that we are not only happy that when they go there they'll have a safe time, that those bad and twisted terrorists that would like to destroy the Egyptian tourist industry have been mitigated and don't pose a threat. And I think when we get there, and that's partly about the other part of my meeting, the meeting with the Minister of Interior, which is developing a strong and a deep security relationship with Egypt. When we have that, I think that's when the signals for reopening Sharm will go ahead. And I have to go and persuade my Prime Minister and say this is what we want. But I think we want to do that. We want people to come back to Sharm el-Sheikh. My constituents who go on holiday here want to come back to Sharm el-Sheikh.
We know that last year's whole world witnessed a very bad accidents like what happened in Brussels, what happened to the Russian air flights, and what happened for the Egyptian flights who come from Paris. And all Egyptian people will ask, why just Egypt who suffering from the negative decisions that taken from the whole Europe?
Well, first of all, I think again there is a misconception out there. When Sousse happened in Tunis, the UK and many other countries completely shut down people coming to Tunis. We said no travel, you do not come unless it's absolutely essential. All the travel advice was against coming to Tunisia. When Sharm el-Sheikh happened, we didn't shut down the other routes into Egypt. We continued to encourage tourism, but in the particular area where there was one line of the inquiry that you'll know was about whether the terrorism came on the flight and all those things.
True.
We focused on that. So we didn't pick on Egypt at all. And in fact, the figures speak for themselves. 200,000 tourists, second biggest group of tourists to Egypt from Europe. And in addition to that, all the countries, most of the European flights stopped, and the Russians have also still stopped coming. So I think it's really important that we just make sure that we get that security correct. And part of that is about the long-term relationship. It's about us and your Minister of Interior and learning from the expertise of the Egyptians. You know, the Egyptians have been fighting terrorism for many decades.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think, you know, you have lessons you can teach us. We fought different terrorism, but we fought terrorism for 30, 40 years. And we have other lessons. So we are keen to share. We're sharing our knowledge of bomb disposal and detection of bombs, which we learned in Iraq and we learned the hard way. And
Sure.
I know that your young men and women are threatened and killed using those explosives, and we're out there to try and help. And we're very, very keen to encourage more work together. We have a whole work program to work with the Egyptian government on other parts of security. And I think that's the real long-term issue that will make sure that we both help defeat IS, or Daesh, and Al-Qaeda.
Do you think that there's difference in the cooperation between UK and Egypt in both sides, the military side and the police side?
Yeah, I think we both have something to give. Yeah. And, you know, good counter-terrorism is about partnership. And we know, and we learned the hard way in the mistakes in the United Kingdom, that when you don't work internally together, if the army and the police don't work together in Egypt or in the United Kingdom, the terrorist will exploit that. And internationally, if countries don't work together, then the terrorists will exploit that. So the way the modern terrorist travels around on airplanes, feels very easy of going from Syria to Turkey to France to back to Cairo. We have to work together to make sure that we spot them, that we arrest them, and we convict them. And, you know, if they are threatening Cairo or threatening Egypt, but they happen to be flying from France or Istanbul, and we know about it, we want you to know about it. And if you know about someone coming to Britain or going to France, we want you to tell us about it. And we do that at the moment. I'd like to do that in a much more regular, deep, and long-term relationship.
After the Brexit, do you think that the British investment here in Egypt, which is very important for Egypt, will affect on that Brexit or not?
I think it might go up. I mean, I'm optimistic. I think, you know, Britain is going to look beyond just the shores of Europe. Britain's mission after Brexit is to make sure that we have a global trading relationship, and we play to our strengths, and we trade. And you know, Egypt is one of the world's greatest traders, and I think it's only going to go from strength to strength. And if we can help each other get rid of this terrorist threat, we can help the threat to the tourism and the business industry, because these people want to send us all back in time. They want Egypt and Britain to have a ruined economy, to have no tourism, and young people to have no future. That's the only way they brainwash people to fight their cause. So we're determined that we have a strong economic link side by side with a strong security link.
Mr. Wallace, it was my pleasure to have you in this interview. Thank you very much.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
مشاهدينا الكرام، تابعتم معنا هذا اللقاء من داخل السفارة البريطانية في القاهرة. في الختام، شكرا لكم على حسن المتابعة.